Imagine being told you can never eat bacon again, or shrimp, or lobster. For millions of people thousands of years ago, this wasn't just a diet trend, it was a divine command that would shape an entire civilization. For sure, your whole body will tremble, your brain will explode, and you will definitely be blown away if you learn that the same God who banned some of these foods later said they were perfectly fine to eat. What changed, and why does it matter today? There are those who are overly curious and like to pry, and there are also those who don't seem to bother much. The question is, what can we gain from this? Picture this. You're living in ancient times, and suddenly you receive the ultimate do not eat list from the Almighty Himself. This wasn't your typical health guru's advice. This was straight from the source. So what was actually off the menu? Let's break it down like a divine grocery shopping guide. For land creatures, we have the split-hoof test. The rule was surprisingly specific. If an animal didn't both chew its cud and have split hooves, it was a no-go. Think of it like a two-factor authentication system for food. What does chew its cud mean? Imagine you're at a pizza party and the pizza is super chewy and tough. So tough, in fact, that just swallowing it after a quick bite wouldn't give your body much to work with. Now, picture if you could swallow that pizza, let it sit in your stomach for a bit, and then bring it back up to your mouth to chew it again. Breaking it down even more so your body could get every last bit of nutrition out of it. Yuck. But that's basically what chewing the cud means for certain animals. I uncover stories you won't find in textbooks or hear from anyone else. Don't miss out on stories that will inspire, shock, and leave you knowing more of the things you thought you knew. These animals, think cows, sheep, goats, deer, giraffes, and antelope, are like expert pizza eaters with a secret trick. They eat grass and plants that are really hard to digest, kind of like trying to eat a mouthful of raw broccoli stalks. Their stomachs are like a four-room house. First, the food goes into the first room where it gets softened up. Then, instead of moving on, the animal brings that food back up to its mouth, this is the cud, and chews it a second time, making it even easier to digest. Some animals, like camels and llamas, also do this, but their stomachs are more like a three-room apartment instead of a four-room house. So while they chew cud, they're not considered true cud chewers in the same way as cows and sheep. Why do they go through all this trouble? Because plants have a tough outer layer called cellulose, which is like armor that most animals can't break down. By chewing their cud, these animals can unlock the nutrients inside, kind of like cracking open a safe to get the treasure. It also helps keep, in short, animals that chew their cud have a special system that lets them get the most out of their food, survive on tough plants, and stay healthy, all thanks to their unique way of eating, digesting, and then eating again. Pigs failed the test spectacularly. Sure, they had split hooves, but they didn't chew cud. As Leviticus 11:7 puts it clearly, pigs were absolutely forbidden. Camels, rabbits, and rock badgers, they chewed cud all day long, but their feet didn't make the cut. One strike, you're out. And forget about anything that walked on paws. Dogs, cats, bears, if it looked like it could hunt you back, it wasn't dinner material. The ocean had its own bouncer system. No fins and scales, no entry to your stomach. This meant goodbye to what we consider delicacies today: crab, lobster, shrimp, oysters, catfish, eels, and other similar water animals. Leviticus 11:9-12 draws a hard line in the sand. Or should I say, in the sea? Imagine explaining to someone today that they can't have a shrimp cocktail because God said so. Yet for these ancient people, it was as natural as breathing. Here's where it gets interesting. The forbidden bird list reads like a who's who of nature's most fearsome hunters: eagles, vultures, hawks, owls. Basically, anything that could pick your bones clean was off limits. Leviticus 11:13-19 even throws bats into the bird category. Ancient Israelites were forbidden to eat a range of birds, mainly birds of prey and scavengers, as detailed also in Deuteronomy 14. Scientifically questionable? Maybe. Divinely decreed? Absolutely. If you're tired of clickbait and superficial content, this channel is the place for you. Unlike others that offer incomplete stories and dull history lessons, I delve into every detail to bring these narratives to life. You'll be eager to share these fascinating stories at your next gathering, leaving your friends impressed. Subscribe now, and I guarantee you'll be amazed with each visit. Alternatively, you can continue with content that offers little value, but remember, doing nothing can be costly too. Most insects were banned except for a select few. Locusts, grasshoppers, crickets. The original protein bars were actually kosher. Everything else that crawled, including snakes, lizards, weasels, mouse, tortoise, and after its kind, was strictly prohibited according to Leviticus 11:29-42. Here's where the plot thickens. Why would God care what people ate? The Bible gives us several clues. Holiness by separation. The primary reason is found in Leviticus 11:44-47, to make Israel holy and distinct. Think of it as divine branding. These weren't just dietary rules, they were identity markers. Every meal was a reminder, you are different, you are mine. Social boundaries. These laws created invisible walls. When you can't eat the same food as your neighbors, you naturally remain separate from their practices and beliefs. It was social engineering at its finest. Paul's freedom declaration. The Apostle Paul takes it even further. In 1 Timothy 4:4-5, he declares that every creature is good if received with thanksgiving. Romans 14 discusses food freedom extensively, emphasizing that believers shouldn't judge each other over dietary choices. The life is in the blood. Blood was particularly sacred. Leviticus 17:14 explains that blood represents life itself, making it too sacred to consume. It was about reverence for life. The New Testament explicitly addresses the prohibition of eating blood, particularly in Acts 15 and 21 as part of early church teachings. At the Council of Jerusalem, apostles and elders decided that Christians should abstain from food polluted by idols, sexual immorality, meat from strangled animals, and blood. So if food polluted by idols and blood were forbidden to be eaten in the Old Testament, it continued to be forbidden in the New Testament. You're here because you crave the kind of stories most people miss, ones that make you think, laugh, and question the world around you. That's exactly what I deliver. Unlike other channels, I back every story with meticulous research and present it to you in a way that's both entertaining and eye-opening. Join this community, don't miss your chance to be part of it. In the New Testament, while some food restrictions were lifted, the prohibition against consuming blood remained due to its symbolic representation of life. So what really changed? Did God change his mind? Not exactly. The original laws served their purpose. They created a distinct people, preserved their identity, and prepared them for a larger role in human history. But they were never meant to be permanent laws. Think of it like scaffolding on a building, essential during construction, but removed once the structure is complete. The food laws were scaffolding for a greater purpose. This is how pork went from forbidden food to Sunday breakfast. The same pig that was absolutely off limits in Leviticus became perfectly acceptable after 1 Timothy 4 and Acts 15. Not because pigs changed, but because the purpose they served in separation was fulfilled. Today's takeaway. What can we learn from this ancient dietary drama? First, that rules often serve purposes beyond their obvious intent. These weren't just food guidelines. They were identity builders, community markers, and spiritual disciplines. Second, that change isn't always abandonment of principle. Sometimes it's the fulfillment of purpose. The food laws accomplished exactly what they were designed to do. I share unbelievable stories that you don't want to miss. Once it's live, only subscribers will be the first to know. My stories may not be for everyone, but if you have a passion to be different, you belong here. Each like and subscription fuels more incredible stories, ensuring you stay informed. From forbidden to freedom, from separation to inclusion, from law to grace. The story of biblical food restrictions reveals something profound about human nature, divine purpose, and the evolution of faith itself. The next time you bite into a bacon cheeseburger or enjoy some shrimp scampi, remember you're not just eating a meal. You're participating in one of history's most dramatic theological reversals, where the same God who once divided people through diet rules later united them around a common table. And that's a story worth chewing on.